I consider myself a typical, quiet, introvert gardener. So designing my garden during 13 last years was great. But to share that with the world was, oh my gosh, what a big deal for me. So here it is. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful masterpiece of the garden. Olga Carmody with you here today, master gardener from Connecticut. We bought this house in 2007. It was immaculately maintained, but the garden didn't feel like home. The front of the house looked polished and too bare for me. Beautiful grass lawn from side to side of the property was simply overwhelming. At the back, just a chain link fence with several small shrubs and nothing else to separate us from our neighbors. I wanted a garden with a personality, where its features can tell a story or evoke a memory. I wanted to experiment and have fun. I wanted to be emotionally connected to my garden. I envisioned quirky pathways, handmade wattle constructions, self-installed imperfect stone features. So generic design had to go. Fast forward 2 or 3 years, during which we were busy running after 3 little kiddos. There was a lot of thinking going on in my head about possible design of my garden. I lived with the space long enough to know what we needed from our garden. Privacy was a big priority. We have 5 neighbors at the back, and everyone needs to have dinner outside without looking at each other, right? So, strong privacy planting plus constructions were a priority. We had budget constraints, being a young family, so the majority of projects had to be done by ourselves. Now I can proudly say that we don't employ any help in caring for our garden. I know every inch of it intimately well. We didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to gardening at the beginning. I decided to care for my garden organically, just like my parents and grandparents did in Ukraine. I invested heavily into the health of the soil. Healthy soil is the solid beginning of a long-lasting garden design where healthy plants can take care of themselves and successfully fight diseases and bad infestations. The first big project to be installed was a back patio with raised beds. I wanted a distinct garden room with a sofa where we can enjoy the morning shade of the day. So we installed 2 raised beds with a combination of 2 types of boxwoods framing the entrance, Green Mountain and Green Gem. The chain link fence was successfully hidden behind a wattle fence. It took me by surprise to learn how many sticks this wall needed to become a permanent, beautiful fixture in the garden. To the left of the wattle fence, the remaining chain link fence was covered by evergreen arborvitaes. I really needed an evergreen option there to take care of that garden corner for the whole year, not just for the growing season. We installed a raised stone wall near our white pine and eastern hemlock on one end of the property. The level of soil was raised gradually there to make sure that roots of trees could adjust. Although this practice is not recommended because roots of trees can get suffocated under the new layer of soil. Right now we have a beautiful azalea growing under a loose canopy of those trees there. There were changes to the front of the garden as well. I wanted some sort of a live barrier between the front of the house and the road, and one year we transformed the front grass strip into a flower bed. Some of plants there are gorgeous hydrangeas and dainty blue flax perennials and different ground covers. Our house changed the color as well. I followed very old and somewhat forgotten traditional Ukrainian way of painting flowers on the houses, and I introduced some floral design around our windows. Now we have colorful flowers year-round on our home. It was a fun project, and the whole family and neighbors watched me painting those bright designs. I grew up in the garden of old roses and always admired the sheer strength of those flowers. Roses can bring a lot of elegance and charm in everyday life. There was no question that my garden would have roses. Through the years, my rose collection grew to 26 plants. And every winter, I desperately search for a good space to plant some more. Well, gardeners can never have enough space, right? Especially us, suburban gardeners, with limited gardens to fill all our plant collections. One year, I approached a wholesale vendor with the proposition to sell me 100 boxwoods. Gardening on a budget demands patience, right? I planted all those baby boxwoods 3 years ago. Hopefully, this growing season, they will finally start forming small hedges. Meanwhile, our dilapidated wooden arch at the back had to go. I took on somewhat ambitious project of building a strong and sturdy rose arch for our two new dawn roses. This year, one of the roses just made it to the top of the arch. The wait is almost over. From now on, my new dawns will become better and better with every coming year. That is the beauty of long-lived perennials. We need patience in letting them get established, and then there is no stopping of healthy and strong growth. The side vegetable garden was created with a very whimsical arch. No purpose whatsoever, just for my sheer enjoyment, and give some vertical space for our very advantageous raspberries there, which are always ready to escape and run away into the grass area. I continued to introduce rose arches and other plant supports. Here, at our back brick patio, the empty wall at the end of the table got a handmade support for Peggy Martin rose. I look forward to this year's blooms. We will have 2 strong roses of darker and lighter pinks growing around our outdoor dinner table. The generous gardener rose is the oldest in the garden. This past fall, I did extra support for its massive stems. There were some setbacks in the garden as well. We needed some shade in the front, and in a very carefree manner, planted 3 little maple trees. Well. Fast forward 10 years and our shade is becoming so strong in the front that we need to reorganize all our rose collection and start moving towards the shade garden design. Who does raised vegetable beds in the front of the house? Yes, you're right, I do. Sun is very good here in this part of our property. So 2 raised beds went in. In 2018, we received a beautification award from our town for the most creative garden design. Can you believe it? Those quirky raised beds were mentioned in the description of our place. As for imperfect countryside pathways, yes, I had fun installing them too. I used a quick-set cement for those projects, and after several years, didn't see any cracks or shifts. Just some stones got dislocated once in a while. I guess I didn't push them deep enough into the cement during installation. Our doors were painted green. My husband is of Irish heritage. More plants were planted, more wattle projects added. The latest interest of mine is hypertufa containers. I love the look of natural stone. Right now, 3 hypertufa pots are overwintering outside. I want to see and test their endurance. I plan to switch all my plastic pots for different stone-like containers, and those are the future fun projects for this coming year. Now, when I walk through my garden, and I'm not just stepping into a well-landscaped space, this garden is part of my family life and history. Here are the stones which my kids installed when they were little. There, the whole family had fun digging all the soil and were happy discussing how many tomatoes we would grow in our raised beds. And the list goes on and on. My garden is a reflection of my perseverance, love and care. And it is not only my story, it is the story which I decided to share with the world. Knowing that my labor of love might inspire someone else to plant their first seed, design their own sanctuary, or simply slow down and appreciate the world around them. It fills me with a sense of purpose. Something as simple as a garden can have a ripple effect, spreading joy, inspiration, and hope far beyond its borders. My garden isn't just alive with flowers. It's alive with the potential to touch lives, one bloom at a time. Gardening has taught me so much about patience, love, beauty, and potentiality of creating something meaningful. And if this garden or my journey has inspired you in any way, I'd love for you to join me. Please subscribe. Together we can create something beautiful. And as always, happy gardening!